This video shows how to complete a suspension job on a 2006 Lexus ES330. We'll install these Duralast loaded strut assemblies for a faster install and better ride control. You can do this job at home with hand tools. These are the tools you'll need for the job. Bigger tools like the 30mm deep socket and the torque wrench you can borrow from AutoZone through the Loan-A-Tool program. You'll also need a good hydraulic jack, some jack stands, and wheel chocks. Make sure the car is in park with the parking brake on before starting. To get started, let's break those lug nuts. Jack up the vehicle from a secure point and place it on jack stands. Remove the lug nuts and the wheel. Now you may need some PB Blaster to loosen up these tough nuts and bolts here. Remove the ABS sensor clip and use a 12mm to remove the wheel speed sensor and also the brake hose bracket. Remove the sway bar link nut using a 17mm wrench and a 6mm hex. Then just place this out of the way. Now remove the axle nut using a 30mm socket and knock the axle loose using a mallet and a punch. Use a 22mm on both sides to remove the lower strut mount nuts, and then you'll drive the bolts through with a punch and a mallet. Disconnect the lower strut mount from the knuckle. Use a 14mm deep socket to remove the 3 strut mount nuts and remove the strut assembly. Install the new assembly and install the top strut nuts and tighten. Install the knuckle into the lower strut mount and install 2 bolts and nuts and tighten. Install the CV nut and torque it to 217 foot-pounds. Install the sway bar link and tighten. Install the brake hose and ABS sensor brackets. Install the wheel. Tighten the lug nuts. Then jack up the car, remove the jack, and lower the car until the wheel is just touching. Torque the lug nuts to 76 foot-pounds. Repeat on the other side. Before removing to the rear, remember to disconnect the negative terminal of the battery. On the rear, you'll need to go inside the car and remove the seatbelt retainer moldings using a small screwdriver and a hex wrench. You'll also need to remove the seatbelts and be careful not to break the retaining lock clips. Lift up on the seat bottom and remove this from the vehicle. Using a 12mm, remove the 4 bolts holding the bottom of the seat back and lift up on the seat back to remove it from the vehicle. We can raise the vehicle and remove the wheel using the same procedures as we did on the front, just with the appropriate wheel and support points. Remove the brake hose bolt using a 12mm. Remove the ABS sensor bracket using a 10mm. Use a 5mm hex and 14mm wrench to remove the sway bar link nut. Use a jack and lift the lower control arm to remove the sway bar link. Using a 17mm, remove the brake caliper brake bolt and place the caliper out of the way. Use a 19mm on both sides to remove the lower strut mount bracket nuts. We'll need a punch and a mallet to remove the lower strut bolts and remove the lower strut mount from the knuckle. You can take the jack away now. Remove the top 3 strut mount nuts using a 12mm. And remove the strut assembly. Now just install that new strut assembly. Install the top strut mount nuts and tighten. Insert the knuckle into the lower strut mount. Insert the lower strut mount bolts and knock through and tighten. Install the sway bar link and torque it. Install the caliper and tighten. Install the ABS sensor and brake hose bolt. Repeat on the other side with the other strut assembly in the rear. Then install the wheel. Tighten the lug nuts. Then jack up the car, remove the jack, and lower the car until the wheel is just touching. Tighten the lug nuts to torque at 76 foot-pounds. Install the seat back by sliding the seat back frame onto the retaining clips from the top down. Tighten the 4 bolts at the bottom of the seat back. Install the bottom seat cushion and snap it into place. Install the seat belts and the plastic retainers. Then you can reconnect the negative battery terminal. And you're done. We recommend going for a test drive, getting an alignment, and enjoying your new suspension.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.